The Supreme Court just ruled in favor of the TikTok ban, and Biden said he's going to leave it up to Trump to decide TikTok's fate. So what does this all mean for the future of TikTok? I'm a constitutional law girly who read the entire Supreme Court decision, so I'm going to break it down for you in simple terms. So when the Supreme Court is trying to decide if the United States citizens' fundamental rights are being taken advantage of, they use one of three tests. The three tests are the rational basis test, the intermediate scrutiny test, and the strict scrutiny test. And essentially what that means is the rational basis test is the least hard to pass and the strict scrutiny is the hardest to pass. So essentially when the Supreme Court uses a strict scrutiny test, it's extremely difficult for them to pass the violation of a fundamental right. So it's really hard to break that fundamental right. In this TikTok case, because free speech was involved, the court decided that they were going to uphold the strict scrutiny test, meaning that it's going to be really hard for them to shut down TikTok. It's going to be really hard for the Supreme Court to say, we're not upholding this value of free speech. And with the three prongs of the strict scrutiny test, the Supreme Court actually sided in favor of the TikTok ban. The government ruled that there was a compelling government interest, that the TikTok ban was narrowly tailored to meet this interest, and that it was the least restrictive manner. So it passed all three prongs of the strict scrutiny test, which is wildly hard to pass in terms of the Supreme Court. Therefore, a unanimous decision was made that the TikTok ban was going to be upheld. So what does it mean that the TikTok ban is actually being upheld? Because Biden said it's up to Trump. Well, the Supreme Court is technically the most powerful institution in the United States government. So kind of what they say more or less goes. President Trump, President Biden, they can't undo a Supreme Court ban with executive orders. Essentially, this is leaving Trump pretty powerless in the TikTok ban now, as opposed to what Biden was saying before. Now, the Supreme Court did indicate that this would mean TikTok couldn't get any updates or modifications, and it can't be now installed from Google or Apple. So those of us with TikTok on our phones, we can still have it. It's not going to disappear from our phone. It's just going to become that there are no updates, no modifications. So TikTok will become essentially obsolete. However, this doesn't mean there isn't further action that can be taken by the government to keep TikTok with us. Congress could hypothetically pass a bill affirming TikTok's availability, which is one option. There can be an appeal to the Supreme Court, which is another option. However, this is seeming more unlikely because the decision was unanimous, meaning that all the judges were in agreement that this TikTok ban should be upheld. We also might see Trump modifying national security protocol to make it less restrictive, enabling us to keep TikTok, which I'm really hoping